We'll take it slow. I'll be in the light before the fades from your eyes. Just another conflicted placement. I'm stuck in a place I hated. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do when I'm stuck inside you? This cell of ice and fire, what blood red death, lost in desire, smell of life.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back, everyone. Hold the Enchilada podcast. Rick Fulton, Ryan Inman, and below we got our special guest, Marty Schiff from Dawn of the Dead, Creep Show, many other things that we're going to get into. How's it going tonight, Marty? Thanks for joining us.
It's going great, and it's great to be here.
Thanks, man.
Right on. Appreciate that, man. So you grew up in the Pittsburgh area, right? Am I correct in saying that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was born and raised here. I'm sorry?
We're going to dive right into these questions. And I was thinking about Pittsburgh and its connection to horror, and it's insane how many people that are involved in horror are from there. Like you know, Savini, Romero, Chris Nelson. Before we went live, you were saying that you grew up across the street from the mall, and he said he used to get his school clothes there. Chris Nelson, Greg Nicotero, yourself. Yep. What is the deal with all these guys coming out of Pittsburgh, man? It's crazy.
Well, you know, if you wanted to get into film and television, you had two choices in Pittsburgh. You had Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and then you had George Romero. So you had both ends of the spectrum, right? You had zombies, and you had It's a Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood, unless there's zombies coming, you know. So most of the crew guys for George's movies, especially his earlier movies like Dawn and Creepshow and Night Riders, the crew were actually Mr. Rogers' crew, like people like Nicky Tallow and Jefferson Street, and those guys, they all came from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And so, you know, George was a pioneer, and we were all very fortunate to just be in the city with him. And that's how all of us came out of, you know, that sort of family tree of the George Romero's family tree. And, you know, Tom Savini is responsible for so many people's careers. And Greg Nicotero, you know, learned from Tom. And, you know, so many others came from sort of being apprentices of Tom's. And that's part of it as well. Between George and Tom, they helped grow the horror industry.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, without Pittsburgh, I mean, all the practical special effects, it all ties back there.
It sure does.
All these guys. And you know, like when you could see, he had Howard Berger and oh man, the guy who was on our show. What's his name? The K and B.
Oh,
Robert Kurtzman.
Kurtzman.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And all of it ties back to Pittsburgh connection. It's insane.
Especially when it comes to Romero, the city of Pittsburgh almost feels like a character in itself in a lot of films to me.
It was. And you know, if you come visit Pittsburgh, you'll see things that look familiar because of George's films. You know, Martin was shot in Braddock, and Dawn was shot all over Pittsburgh until we got into the mall. It was shot downtown. It was shot on the river on the south side. Creepshow was shot in the Monroeville area, Squirrel Hill, you know, many different neighborhoods in Pittsburgh. We did Creepshow all over the city. The only piece that was done outside the city was Tide You Over with Ted Danson and Galen Ross and Leslie Nielsen, the amazing Leslie Nielsen.
That role was just such a departure from what you're used to seeing. I just watched it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Leslie was he was a lot of fun. I actually got to work with him a couple times. I worked with him on a series called 227, and just he was a lot of fun. Leslie was a good time.
Hell yeah! Right on. So, did you grow up as a horror fan? And if so, what were you? what type of horror were you into prior to getting with the Romero and things?
We had a Saturday night show in Pittsburgh called Chiller Theater with Bill Cardell, and they showed Mario Bava films, the original, some Hammer stuff, the Universal classics.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching that every Saturday night. When I was about 11, my mother took me to the movies, and my family went to the movies all the time. It was a big thing with us. And she saw this movie, she thought it was about a woman and her child, and it was called Rosemary's Baby. She just didn't know that the child was Satan, So we went to see Rosemary's Baby, and she said she didn't know whether to leave or not, but my eyes were glued on the screen. And to this day, that Rosemary's Baby, I think, is still one of the greatest horror movies ever made, one of the scariest films ever made. Absolutely. So I was exposed to horror at a very young age, but in all honesty, I really never had a favorite genre. I loved comedy, as I loved adventure, I loved thrillers, I loved them all, really. But I did get to see a good dose of horror when I was younger.
Nice. So where were we at? So you were in probably the two biggest horror films you were in was Creepshow and Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
And so and in Creepshow, I was doing my research and I noticed that you were credited as Moon Baby Schiff.
Well, yeah, as a grip.
Where did that name come from?
Well, so I did a lot of theater. When we were back in the day, you didn't have film schools like you do today. In Pittsburgh, you have Point Park, Pitt, Carnegie Mellon, Douglas Education Center, the Romero Film School. You have all these opportunities to go to film school today that we didn't have back then. So you did the next best thing, which was theater. I kind of always knew I was going to end up producing. I always wanted to produce, I think. And so I learned it all. I learned lights and sound and building sets. And, I did a lot of lighting. And so George knew that. Nikki Mastandrea, George's key grip, knew that. And Creepshow had a lot of light transitions. And it was before the days of digital. And so all the lighting effects in Creepshow are practical, and I do them. I'm running the light boards on Creepshow. So they had the garbage men roll for Tom and I, the garbage men rolls for Tom Savini and I. But really, my primary role was running those lights. So anytime you see the color changes behind the actors, that's me on a dimmer board. So everybody that was a grip for George back in the day got a nickname. There was Zoot, Chisel Face, Bomba, we all had nicknames, so I had to have a nickname. Well, there was a commercial on TV where one of the characters was named Moon Baby. So Nikki Mastandrea, who is the key grip who gives people their nicknames, gave me the nickname Moon Baby, and that's how I ended up with Moon Baby. So my people watch that and they wonder, well, are you related to Moon Baby Schiff? And I'm like, I am Moon Baby.
I am Moon Baby. Now, do you remember what the commercial was for?
I don't, and I've Googled it a few times and I haven't been able to find it. But Nick Mastandrea remembers it, and that's all that matters.
Right on. So so what else we got here? So our friend who's he does a podcast too, JP Cross, he does the Cine Nerds podcast. He's a big fan of the Party Animal movie. I seen you were the second AD on that.
Yeah.
Any cool stories about that?
Well, Party Animal was an interesting story. When I was brought on to be the second AD, and the director, David Beard, had never directed a film before. This was his first project. And, for some reason, actors would walk off the set, they would walk out. And he would just turn and look at me and go, Marty, you're on. And I would so I'm an actor in the movie about 4 different times. And it was a non-union picture, so I think the statute of limitations has run out. I don't think I'll get in trouble. But so the one role, there's the scene in the adult toy store there.
Oh yeah.
So I play the manager of the adult toy store, and that's the only I get a credit for that. So I used my next door neighbor, his name, because he had passed away, unfortunately, and so I used his name. So Herman Simon has one credit on the IMDb, and it's the adult toy store manager in Party Animal. So it was an interesting experience. We shot at a closed down university in Mount Carroll, Illinois. So we had the run of this college, and it was really kind of fun. And the movie was originally called The Apprentice. And I took over a floor of a dorm, and I called it the Party Animal Wing. And I like to think that's what inspired the new name for the film. But it was definitely the party floor for Party Animal, and which was The Apprentice then. And it was a growing experience for me. Let's just put it that way. I learned a lot doing that movie.
Right on. Yeah, he does that podcast with two of his buddies. He's in a band. They're all in bands and stuff, and they decided that they wanted to do a podcast talking about movies. It's really cool. It's on Facebook and YouTube. And the Party Animal episode, the one member of his band that does it with him was just ready to kill him for making him watch this movie. JP is a huge fan of it, but JP likes different stuff.
JP would definitely, knowing him and his taste, would love that movie.
Yeah, James, the guitarist from A Killer's Confession, not so much. He was
it was shot in 1982.
Yeah.
It's very cringy today. It would never get made today. It would be canceled immediately today. But back in 1982, people were still able to get away with some of that stuff.
Yeah, I've if I've seen the movie, I don't remember it, but I told him I was having you on. He said, you got to ask him about this. And I was like, no problem. I'm gonna get that done for you, JP.
Great.
So what was it like working on Blank Man? You did the Blank Man with the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
Pretty cool flick.
It was. I was sort of transitioning into producing at that point. I was working with Eric Gold at the Gold Company, and the Gold Company managed the Wayans brothers. Damon Wayans and I were very good friends. Damon was a comedian, of course, prior to In Living Color and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker and all those things that made them launch.
Funny, he's one of the bunch.
And so he wrote a role for me in Blank Man, and I ended up as the convenience store manager or something like that. Another store manager. There's a pattern forming here,
Yeah.
But that's how I ended up in Blank Man, was because I was good friends with Damon.
Cool. So you did a lot of 80s TV, or Knight Rider, Knots Landing, 227, Sledgehammer, Matlock,
Yep.
Perfect Strangers, all good stuff. But you had a pretty decent run on Dallas, right?
Yeah, I did the last 2 seasons of Dallas.
That was a giant show.
Yeah, it was huge back in the day. We were sort of in the twilight of the series, but it was really kind of fun. I got to play a mental patient, and over two seasons, I think I was in 6 or 7 episodes, and it was just a lot of fun. Larry Hagman was great. I had such a good time with him, and it was kind of a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest theme where Larry was the head of the crew, and there was 6 or 7 of us mental patients that were his gang, and we had a great time. We really had a lot of fun. Dallas was a blast. I would say probably the third most fun I had going to work was on Dallas.
Nice. See, Rick, you mentioned a lot of the stuff you did in the 80s, but you didn't mention the one thing that I really wanted to bring up.
What is that?
Okay. My thing, we have many people in, the horror field on the show.
Yeah.
But I like to look at their credits and try to recognize things that are so not horror that I saw. And I think you already know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, the Out of Control show.
Out of Control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was getting there next, buddy. Because
Okay,
there's a story on there that I got to ask him about.
Yeah, and that was like pre-Full House Dave Coulier, but once he got fame from that, then it got picked up for, I think it was on Nickelodeon is where I saw it.
It was the first show developed for Nickelodeon, according to my research.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
that is correct. As a matter of fact, cable was just starting to come around. When I moved to Hollywood back in 1979, there were only 3 television networks. There was ABC, CBS, and NBC. Fox didn't even exist yet. And cable was kind of where you went to die. It was like, that really wasn't a good career move, considered a good career move back in those days. So my agent called me and he said, hey, I got an audition for you. And I said, that's great. You're my agent. You're supposed to have an audition for me. He said, but I got to tell you, it's for cable. And I went silent. And I thought, I said, Martin, is my career over? What is this? I said, what's next? Do I have to be a birthday clown next? What is it? He said, it's a new thing. It's a new network. Go check it out. Don't have an attitude. So I went to this audition, and it was in a room about the size of this desk. And these guys, they said, here, we want this character to be a really sleazy reporter and blah, blah, blah. He gave me the sort of parameters. And I did it. And they said, we love it. We want you to do it. And it was one of the only times in my career that I got cast on the spot. And I thought, oh boy, that's not a good sign, So, it ended up being Out of Control, which was, most people don't really remember Out of Control. It's like the early shows of television. A lot of people don't remember the early TV shows that were on in the 50s. A lot of people don't really remember Out of Control. They remember You Can't Do That on Television, Double Dare, the shows that came after us. But we really, we were on 8 times a day. They would run us 4 times in the morning, 4 times in the evening, because the network went off the air at 6 p.m. It came on at 6, and then it became Bravo at 6 p.m. So they didn't even have enough funding to be on the air 24/7, So
and then later became Nick at Night.
Nick at Night, right? So we really helped get that network off the air. Now there was no residuals back in those days for cable, so they ran us for 7 years. So my kids refer to Nickelodeon as the network that Daddy built, basically. So I'm very proud of that show. We did a lot of great things. There's I think most of the episodes are on YouTube right now. And when you watch them, they're very dated technologically. I think we shot on Betacam, and it was in the studio. I think we were on 2-inch video, which was probably, it was outdated by 10 years, even in 1985. So when we started the series, but very proud of it. Out of Control was the most fun I had going to work. I used to wake up at 3 a.m. laughing. It was really a good time. Dave Coulier was a blast to work with.
Yeah.
We had such a
I bet.
Yeah,
I've heard he's a very friendly Canadian gentleman.
He's not Canadian though. A lot of people think he is because of
the
his
hockey at Alanis Morissette made me think.
Yeah, Alanis Morissette, and that's the first thing.
He's from Michigan. Michigan, and
almost Canada.
Yeah. So almost Canada. We can call it Canada adjacent. But Dave and I still talk, and we still communicate, and we stayed close after all these years. So.
Oh, that's cool. So, but the one thing, the reason I got this on my list of questions is because I read that you were doing a bit on there with some scissors and cut your freaking finger off. Is that legit? I mean,
yeah, I did. I know you can't see it on the camera, but we were doing this bit. Hearn, my character, Hearn Burford, was always trying to make a quick buck. He was always trying to beat the system to make it rich. And the show was Inventions, and I think that may be one of the episodes on YouTube. And so I came up with the invention of the Popeil Pocket paper shredder, Popeil Pocket paper shredder, and it was a pair of scissors. And I took it out of my pocket, and I'm cutting this piece of paper, and I sliced the top of my finger off. So there's blood running down my arm. And the director goes, cut. And it says, Marty, I don't know if you know it or not, but you're bleeding. I said, I'm aware. So I went to the hospital. They stitched me up. They did 22 stitches on my finger.
Ooh.
And then they wrapped it in this white bandage. So from episode, I don't know, there's 3 or 4 episodes where my index finger, if you look at Battle of the Reporters, that episode, I've got a bandage on my finger. That was as a result of getting cut on screen. Yeah, I did my own stunts. I still do my own stunts. So
did they use the shot of you cutting your finger in the show?
No, it's a kid.
No, that they saved that for his horror work.
Yeah, right. That would have been Romero. But it does confuse people that, you know, they're at a convention to see me, you know, for Dawn of the Dead and Creepshow and George Romero's Dead Time Stories and all these horror movies, and then all of a sudden it clicks in that I was Hearn Burford on Nickelodeon, and for some reason, you know, it's hard for people to make the connection that I did horror and children's television at the same time.
Yeah, that always fascinates me when I see something like non-horror on, you know, a horror person's resume. Yeah, and it always fascinates me. Like the young lady we had on a couple weeks ago was in the movie Superbad.
Yeah.
That's so not horror, it's just comedy, you know.
Yeah, and you know, we're actors, and I did a lot of commercials too. I did a bunch of national commercials, and when people learn, I think if you Google Little Caesars Pizza arm wrestling 90s on YouTube, you'll see a Little Caesars Pizza commercial that I did where I arm wrestle a 5-year-old for a pizza.
Yeah. Did you win?
That's not ringing a bell off the top of my head, but I know if I see it, I'll remember it.
Yeah. You can also see me with hair, which is, you know, it's a good thing.
Right on. So, how long have you been? We're pretty new to conventions, as I was talking to you about before we went on. Like, Cleveland just really doesn't have a lot, which we'll have. Where is it? Above Ryan's head over there.
Yeah.
The Ohio TerrorCon. Zach's bringing that here, and that's going to be pretty sweet. You're going to be there for that. We're going to be there for that.
Yeah, I'll be a guest at that. Yeah, that's in August, and that's happening in Strongsville, August 16th and 17th. And come on down, everybody, say hello. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a great show. I think Zach's doing a great job with it. I'm excited about that. It'll be fun.
So how did you get it? When was like the first time you did a convention?
Wow.
Do you remember that?
I think my first convention might have been 2003. It was a Dawn of the Dead reunion. And it was in the old Monroeville Convention Center. And and sort of the great grandchild of that convention is coming up as well in June, which is the Living Dead weekend, which I'll be a guest at that as well. And that is that's June 7th, 8th, and 9th, I think. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
June 7th, 8th, and that'll be at the Monroeville Mall where we shot Dawn of the Dead. And, you know, Tom Savini will be there, and hopefully a bunch of the other leads will be there. I'll be there. It usually gets a great turnout. It's really a lot of fun. So I'm doing 2 great conventions this summer, and I'm excited about it. I love doing it. It's to me, it's a big family reunion for Dawn, and the Ohio TerrorCon will be great because there's a lot of new people that I haven't really met. I've heard about. You know, we all hear about each other. There'll be people that I've yet to meet that I'll get to meet at the TerrorCon, which will be a blast.
Right on. Yeah, with Ohio TerrorCon, Zach seems like he's going like a little bit less conventional with the guests, and you're getting people that you normally wouldn't see. Like he's got a whole reunion of Toxic Avenger and not Night of the Creeps. That's going to be at the one that you're going to in June.
Yeah. The
Night of the Demons.
There you go. Yep. Yeah. So that should be a good time.
I thought he was doing a heck of a job too until he booked us.
Yeah. What was our first convention? We have no idea what we're doing.
I'll be canceling. Now that I know you guys are going to be there, I'll be canceling. No.
I don't blame you.
I'm only kidding.
So yeah, we've never done anything like that. We're new to this podcasting. We don't even know what we're doing here yet. We're figuring it out as we go, and we're
doing a great job. Yeah, you're doing a good job.
Thanks. So we're going to be doing like a live show there, and we got a couple guys that are going to probably come on. A couple stuntmen that are supposed to come on and do like a. I think we're gonna work it out like one of the live panels what you would see at a normal convention because we're really not 100% sure.
Well, here's the thing though: if we have stuntmen while we're doing a live show, they got to do stunts.
No, I don't know if that. Well, one of them is pretty old. I don't know if he's doing that.
That's true.
That'll cost you. Those,
Yeah.
Every stunt costs money.
Right on. What else we got here? Feel free to ask your question while I'm going over this stuff, Ryan.
That's what I just did.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. I thought you were telling me to ask you a question.
Yeah,
No, I don't have any questions.
No. Besides, the events up here, do you have any other events coming up?
Just a couple, film projects that I'm working on that'll be announced hopefully soon, and I have to wait for that. But I teach full time at the University of Cincinnati, teaching the digital media department there, and I'm what they call a professor of practice. So it means that I'm supposed to practice what I teach, which I do. And fortunately, I'm still able to do a film a year as a producer. I haven't really acted in a little while. Mm-hmm. But, I'm fortunate enough to do at least one project a year, and I love it. It's my drug, working on films and in television. And that's really what I love doing. I love it so much. And so I got another film coming up at the end of the summer. And when we can do the announcements, I'll be sure to let you guys know.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So how long have you been teaching for?
I started teaching in 2015. It's something that I always wanted to do. And I always did it on a private level. I owned an acting school in LA for a while called the LA Film Actors Lab. And so I always sort of taught. And I wanted to teach in the university level. And even though I had all this experience, it didn't matter. You needed to have a master's degree. I did get an opportunity at my alma mater where I got my theater degree at Point Park University to be a visiting artist. But I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to take it bigger than that. So I went back to school and got my master's, and almost immediately got hired by the University of Cincinnati. And that was back in 2019. So I've really been doing it for 9 years, but full-time at Cincinnati for about five years.
Now, you started in 2019. Did COVID impact anything at all for you?
It did, yeah. I live in Pittsburgh, and I would commute to Cincinnati every week to teach my classes. Then we went remote, and it kind of changed everything. About half of my classes are remote now, so I don't have to be on the highway as much as I used to be, which is kind of nice. But I actually enjoy going to campus. We have, University of Cincinnati has a great campus. It's great to be there. I like being there, but I also like not having to drive every week. It's kind of so that the ability to work remote changed, and it's still, students are still getting back into the groove of being in school on a regular basis. I think that there was a real adjustment that students needed to make once they got back on campus, and we're just getting back into the norm as far as teaching and learning goes.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's it's really impacted a lot of people in many fields. The ability to work remote. A lot of these big companies are now realizing we don't need to rent 10 million feet of office space anymore.
It's true. Yeah, they're looking at, in downtown Pittsburgh, they're looking at converting office spaces into apartments because they need more living spaces, but they don't need those office spaces anymore because a lot of people are still choosing to work remote.
That's true. And I think they've done studies where they say people are even more productive in some fields at home than going to an office.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was I lived for Amazon for a while. My route was downtown Cleveland, and after COVID, like nobody was there anymore in these buildings because, like he said, why rent this expensive office space when you could do the same thing from home. So
it's true, and of course, COVID really affected production a lot. It shut it down essentially for a while. And when we came back, there was all kinds of rules, masks and testing, and you had to add 30% onto your budget for all of the COVID rules and regulations. And I'm glad to see that gone, because it was an added expense and an added stress that I'm glad is finally, faded away. And I'm glad, COVID has faded away. And it was essential. I'm not saying that it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think for the safety of your cast, the safety of your crew, we had to do what we had to do. And, but it's nice not having that extra expense, that extra, all of that extra stress that was involved with it. But COVID really changed the industry for quite a while. For 2-3 years.
It changed everything, really. And this kind of ties into horror, too. The next thing I'm going to get on about that is Rick and I are both like huge live music guys. We love going to concerts and things. There weren't any in Cleveland for about a year.
Yeah.
And the first one we went to, what was it, Rick?
The first one we went to was a horror thing. It was a concert. It was oh my God, Ari Lehman's band, First Jason.
Yeah.
First
He
Jason.
did a concert with his band like at a brewery. It's kind of a small thing, but it was like awesome just to get out of the house finally and be able to see live music again.
Well,
great time.
I had dodged COVID for all years, and I went to a play. A friend of mine and I went to a play, and we both came down with COVID from somebody in that audience. So, but I held out as long as I could.
Hey, we
about
had
a year ago now, as a matter of fact.
Ryan got COVID from a Kid Rock concert. He doesn't even like Kid Rock.
No, I don't. And Rick took me to this concert, and I got COVID.
There you go.
He was like, "Yeah, all these COVID deniers, nobody's vaccinated. Of course, he got COVID."
Yeah, I went to people watch mainly, and of course I catch COVID.
Yeah.
And he lived really close to there, so he was like, "Hey, I'm not doing nothing. I guess I'll go."
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we all survived. I'm glad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Some people didn't, man.
Yeah,
it was
a lot of people didn't, unfortunately.
It was brutal. It was really brutal.
I actually did meet you before in person briefly. You probably, you meet so many people, I'm sure you don't remember, but it was in Lakewood, Ohio, at the zombie walk thing that they did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
came up there. Zach, I think he was the one that put that thing together, because I met him there that day too.
That was I'm trying. Yeah, no, that was Zach was there. Yeah, he was there, and it was a bunch of tables were there. But yeah, that was kind of fun. That was over in that was actually in Cleveland proper, I think.
No, it was in Lakewood. It was at.
It was Lakewood. That's right. It was in Lakewood.
It's a small. They have really good wings, and they do concerts there.
Joe put that together.
I can't remember the name of it. You would know. It's across the street from the Fantasy, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Foundry.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Foundry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went there, and they had makeup artists, like professional makeup artists. They made up my kids, and we ended up. We had plans to go to haunted house that day, but we popped in there for that real quick, and it was really cool. I thought that was a really cool event. I wish I would have seen like all the zombies walking down the street, but I didn't get to stay for that.
Yeah,
because we had some haunted house business, I think, that day.
Rick, did you mention they had really good wings at the Foundry?
Yeah, they do.
My buddy Trevor's the chef there. Shout out to you, Trev.
Yeah, they're known for
small world. Small world.
But right on. So we're gonna start to wrap this up.
Okay.
I think I asked all my questions. We went for almost 40 minutes so far. So you're going to be in town in Cleveland, Strongsville, technically. Same place they do Cinema Wasteland, the Best Western Hotel. Yes. August 16th and 17th, if I'm not mistaken. It's definitely at the ticker at the bottom. Yes. We're going to be there. Marty's going to be there. Cast the Toxic Avenger. Bob Elmore from Texas Chainsaw, who's on the show last week.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a rough one.
You guys, everybody out there, you guys don't want to miss this show. It's going to be so fun.
Okay.
So much fun.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait to go, you know.
Yeah, no, dude, it's going to be a blast, and we're going to pack that place, and it's going to be awesome. And yeah, we look forward to meeting you in person. Well, thank you again for coming out and coming on the show tonight.
My pleasure, and thanks for having me. This was great.
Absolutely.
We'll see you in August, and we're going to see you first in June. We're going to see you first in June because I'm dying to go to the Monroeville Mall and see like all the sites. And I'll send you some messages to find out some cool places to go that where some of the films were shot, so we can get some footage there. But thanks for coming on. I'm going to take you out of here, and we're going to talk about some other stuff. But thanks for coming on, Marty. And
my pleasure.
Come to the event and see Marty and us at the Ohio Terracon. Should be freaking awesome.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna talk about some other current events real quick before we get out of here. We're gonna see we got if you're paying attention to the ticker, then we got Charles Sherrod. That's why I thought you changed your shirt. I thought you see the ticker. Charles Sherrod's doing Jason X.
Yeah,
tonight.
I knew that.
And I love the way he does his show because he'll have the movie going. I don't know how he gets around the copyrights and shit, but whatever, he does it, because it's a clean cut of the movie, and he cuts it up so it moves faster, but you still get pretty much the whole gist of the movie, and he'll break in with comments and facts about the movie, and I really, really dig doing that. I usually do lift and have him on while I'm listening to that. So we got that, and then JP and the guys, they're going to do a live episode tonight reviewing the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Did you get a chance to see that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I work 6 days a week, man. Say that again.
Did you like the last Ghostbusters movie?
It was okay.
This is less okay.
Okay.
Is it worth watching if you're a Ghostbusters fan? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it anything you're going to tell your friends about afterwards? Not at all.
Yeah.
It's
one of those ones like I'll stream it one day.
Yeah, I went. Yeah. I paid to see it because, ironically, I came to the conclusion that I've seen every Ghostbusters that's ever came out at the drive-in in North Ridgeville.
Really?
So once I figured that out, I was like, well, I gotta go and see it there. So I did. I mean, even the '84 one, I was there live for it in '84.
God, that's such a good movie.
That is amazing. 2 is decent and. Everybody hates the third one. I actually like it. I don't love it. Let's see. Rob Dowell, what does he say? He says, we are not going to be at Astronomicon. We are not going to be there. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on and not enough money to do the stuff we got going on. So.
True.
Oh, man. Rob was over there commenting he's going to Astronomicon. Bob Elmore's going to be there, though, so make sure you stop by and see him. The problem last week, for those of you that are still listening, is Bob Elmore didn't have headphones on, and I figured it out after he was off the air, and he might have even had headphones there. We could have him put them on, but our audio was going back through his microphone, causing that crazy echo.
Yeah.
And oh man, I couldn't even listen back to it. I feel so bad, but we're gonna get him live when we see him. We're gonna re-ask some of the same questions, get some of the stories, and get some better audio quality. He might come on live with us on our live show that we're doing at Terracon. Definitely can't remember the guy. The William the Refrigerator Perry.
William R. Perry.
Yeah, I gotta say it that way so I remember. Stuntman from Nightmare on Elm Street among 8,000 other things.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on, and that's why I think we're going to try to mix Bob in with it since they're both stuntmen and both of the recruiters are mostly stuntmen. Oh, Marty was really cool, man. Yeah. It was definitely fun having him on. That Dave Coulier story, dude, that's insane. Cut your freaking finger off.
See, I knew somehow, some way, bringing that show up would lead to something pretty interesting.
So did you know about this story about him cutting his finger off?
No.
Okay. I thought you did. I thought that's what you brought up.
Not at all.
I was going to bring up where Chris almost cut mine off. See, you can't see. Maybe you can see there's like a big scar there. My fingers won't close.
Yeah.
The bastard. You know that story?
No.
I'll tell it anyway. Maybe you know it. So me, him, and his mom go to Great Northern Mall because he wants to buy a samurai sword.
And when was this?
Oh man, Long time ago. We were 18, maybe 19.
So it's still like the 90s then.
Yeah, because Donald was a baby.
Yeah.
He was born, but he was a baby. So we're going to 18 or 19. So Donald was born in 98. So it's 99, 2000 at the latest. So we are we go to the Great Northern Mall. He wants to buy a samurai sword. And we don't tell his mom that, of course. Right? So she pulls up. She waits in the car. We come out. He's got the samurai sword. She's like, you fucking... She didn't say that. You know she don't talk like that. But basically, You fucking idiots. One of you guys are going to get hurt with this. You guys are so stupid. I can't believe you did this. And like always, she knew what she was talking about. So fast forward a little bit, and he's playing with the sword in his bedroom, that big cramped bedroom he had in Lakewood where there's not much going on. There's a chick sitting in that chair that I used to sleep in when I slept over.
Yeah.
That was his grandfather's chair. It was like 100 years old. She's sitting in there, and he's on one side of it. I'm on the other side of it. And he says, he has a sword like this, and it's closed. And he says to me, he says, I bet I could kick your ass with this sword without even opening it. Without even opening it. That's the key word here, right? So I said, dude, I'll take that sword from you and do things to you with it. So to kind of show him that I would have him, I turned like I was walking away, and then I turned back and jabbed towards his face. As I'm jabbing towards his face, he opens the sword, which then raises it to his face level, the natural motion. So I jabbed his sword. Blood all over this girl's face, dude. Oh, God, it was everywhere. We go to the hospital because I got to get my fingers sewed back on, basically. And they're asking me what happened. And they're like, do you want to press charges? And I look at him, I go, you're goddamn right I do. You call the police right now. Chris is shitting because you know, Chris is just so nervous anyway. He's like, he never meant for anything to happen. I gotta mess with him, you know? So, dude, it was insane, man. I did tell him, though, while we were there, in a pause from talking to the lady, I said, dude, they take my finger, I'm taking 2 of yours, just so you know. We're still going to be friends after this, but they take my finger, I'm taking 2 of yours. That's my finger getting cut off story.
He never told me that. Probably because he was embarrassed about it.
Yeah, Jessie Bray was the girl. I don't know if you ever met her. She used to live down the street from. She hung out the house a lot.
I don't remember her.
Chris's mom couldn't stand her. Real young chick, really annoying.
Well,
if she's forgotten,
she couldn't stand a lot of people, including me. So,
including you, yeah.
Top of the list, baby. Get in line.
But it was just like blood all over her face. Dude, this was the days of cell phones. Somebody would have went out and recorded this, and that we would have went viral for sure.
You would have ended up on ridiculousness for sure.
Right on.
So Marty mentioned something, and it kind of segued into something completely different I wanted to discuss. He mentioned working with Leslie Nielsen, and you probably already know where I'm going with this. Leslie Nielsen worked with somebody a few times who passed away today.
O.J. Simpson. They're never going to catch serial killers now.
Dude, and just as luck would have it, just before he could catch the real killers, they died at the exact same time as him.
Oh, man, they're crazy. That's something. I think, you know what, man? If they wouldn't have locked him up for 10 years for trying to steal his own stuff back, he might have been able to find them.
Yeah, that's true. They really put a damper on that investigation.
Bro, I mean, he did get screwed hard. I mean, granted, he beat a murder charge, you know what I mean? But, he went to go get his own stuff that was stolen from him back. He didn't have a gun. His friends had a gun. For some reason, this transaction in this hotel to buy sports memorabilia is being recorded. He got set up 100%. The city of Las Vegas said, yeah, you're too arrogant, dude. And I don't, he was so arrogant about that after he did it. He didn't.
Yeah. And the guy that set him up, his name is Fred Goldman.
I wouldn't doubt it, man.
Wouldn't that be the most ironic twist of fate?
But he got 10 years from that. You tell me who in the world would get convicted for 10 years for trying to take your own stuff, even if you take it at face value and say he's stealing this stuff. It's an armed robbery. You're
Yes.
getting 10 years for an armed robbery. You're not.
I've heard of that
Maybe,
happening.
but very rarely. And he wasn't armed.
Well,
And the guys with the guns walked.
well, they could. OJ was the one that I guess hired them or talked them into going with them.
I don't think that's the way it was presented in the case.
Mm.
They were charged with something, but then theirs were like it was like totally like they walked. And but again, you know,
I am very, very, very well versed in an OJ case, just not that one.
Did you see the miniseries they put out?
Of course, and it was fantastic.
So good. Did you see the ESPN 30 for 30 miniseries they put out?
No. See
that, man. That is like it's at least 8 hours long. I don't remember how many parts it was, but they're all whole on whatever app you can find that on, probably ESPN Plus. And it shows real. I mean, it's a tough watch because they show real crime scene photos, and you cannot watch that. You can 100% not watch that and not think he did it.
Of course he did it.
There's no way that you're going to watch it and think that. And they show Nicole's head pretty much cut off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's brutal. Like, that's not just somebody that stumbled upon two people. There's no way.
No.
It's crazy.
I mean, there's like traces of Ron Goldman's blood on the hotel towels in Chicago. I mean, just
right.
Come on.
And he just decided to leave there. He has cut on his hand from the freaking knife. Come on. And then the whole, and then the prosecution, they had problems because they wouldn't listen to each other. What's her name? What's the girl's name?
Marsha Clark.
Marsha Clark was telling Chris Darden, if you have him try on that glove, it's not going to work because the glove is wet with blood. It's been sitting in evidence for all this time. It's leather. It's shrunk. It never is going to fit his hand. It's going to make you look stupid.
Yeah,
she didn't think it would go as bad as it did. But and then vice versa, he told her, you put Mark Furman on the stand, and this is going to blow the whole thing. You know, him as a black man, knowing who Mark Furman was and knowing the reaction it was going to give the public. And they didn't, you know, they both were just so arrogant and didn't want to listen to each other and blew the case. But still, with the evidence presented, I still think he might have been able to convict him.
Oh, yeah, he had to.
I mean,
I just think at that point, though, Americans really, even worldwide, but especially here, we weren't really too familiar with how DNA worked yet.
Mm-hmm.
If this trial took place 5 years later, he was done. You know, it just right place for him, right time.
Footprints and blood of shoes that he wore constantly, like the only shoes he wore, the Bruno Malleys or whatever they were called. Yeah, exact size of his foot. So the killer framed him by putting a glove in his car, wore the same size shoes that he did, had to be a 250-pound athlete to be able to commit the wounds that were there, drove the same. Get the fuck out of here.
It was a setup.
Oh, yeah, totally. And without knowing that this stuff happened, he decided to leave LA in the middle of the night right after it happened. Coincidentally. Yeah,
hey, man, wild, Juice had to get to Chicago, man.
Yeah, just right then decided I gotta go now. It is crazy.
So yeah, that just I was on my lunch break at work today, and that's when the news broke.
Yeah, I didn't even know he had cancer.
I didn't either. He just posted on his Twitter that I shamelessly followed for years.
Yeah.
Well, so did millions of other people, so I don't want to hear it. I just watched his videos about his opinions on football, actually. So.
Oh, is it his insane opinions on everything?
Most of his stuff was related
crazy
to
stuff.
So, yeah.
But it was entertaining.
Yeah. I remember he was in his big fantasy league. He was a big fantasy player.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of he has the best Andrew Luck story. it was like, obviously, it's OJ. He ain't playing for the stakes that we are.
No.
In his big league with all his buddies that he cared, the one he really cared about, he drafts Andrew Luck, and he retires 5 minutes later.
he heard OJ had him on his team.
Yeah, and now he's on OJ's list. Everybody keep an eye on Andrew Luck.
Wow. Yeah, man, that shit is crazy. That's just too much, man. Right on.
So yeah, that's. I just wanted to mention that. Just the biggest missed opportunity and biggest bummer is Norm Macdonald didn't get to outlive OJ and see it and come up with jokes about it.
Okay, yeah, somebody else was posting something about that. I'm out of the loop on that. I don't know.
I'll send you something off the
Okay, cool. Yeah, because they were like, yeah, you're not the only one that said it. I've seen like 3 or 4 people say the exact same thing. I was like, I must have missed something.
Yeah. Well, the long and short of it is OJ's the reason why Norm Macdonald was fired from Saturday Night Live. So
okay, yeah, I remember this.
All
I remember this now. Okay, good. Yeah, I got you. I remember it now. Yeah,
because OJ was like best friends with the president of NBC.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I know, and he told some like taste, some jokes that some might see in poor taste or something.
They were absolutely brilliant and hilarious.
I'm sure they were. Norm Macdonald was great.
Yeah, one of my favorites of all time. So,
well, I hate the transition from OJ into this, but I definitely, fuck. I definitely did want to say I wanted to send thoughts and prayers, if that's your thing, to Jeff Hatrix, the guy who does our intro music. His wife, she also passed of cancer yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Very, very, very sad. She was a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful woman. Like, fought cancer for 10 years, an inspiration to anybody. Just an amazing person. And if you go on my page, and I think on the show's page, there's a GoFundMe. And if you can't find it there, it's on Waylon Revis's page from A Killer's Confession, because he's the one organizing it. And for those that don't know, Jeff has been out of work for quite some time because he recently had some surgeries that wouldn't let him walk. And now we know this is why he wasn't at Cinema Wasteland, by the way, because he was booked for that. And so he hasn't been able to work in quite some time. His medical bills are crazy. Her medical bills have to be astronomical. So they're really, really hurting financially. So if anybody listening to this can help out, even with the smallest donation, please do so. Jeff's a great guy, and Stacy was just an amazing person. Anybody that's met her knows that. And I just wanted to say that, like I said, it sucks the transition from OJ to that.
Right.
But I don't think there was ever going to be a good time to drop that.
No.
So we got that. And so check that out, guys. And if you can, donate something, anything can help. Funeral costs, and again, all those medical bills that they're dealing with, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's just
yeah.
it's just a bad situation all around, man. It's terribly sad. I never even met her, but it's still, just reading what everybody else. I read the comments on everything on them, and it just made me sad.
It's funny because they were so much alike and so cool together, but yet so opposite. Because she was just like the sweetest, like flowery hippie chick, like. Yeah. And Jeff literally wore the devil's mask on his face for 20 years, Like they couldn't be too different, but they're great. Hey, Zigzag, what's up, brother? Yeah, he just tuned in, and now we're bumming him out with people dying of cancer. But definitely really cool people, and definitely if you can, definitely donate to that. What are we gonna do next week?
Oh, we got a free. Next week's a free week, right? We got nothing booked.
Seems like it. I don't think so. Pretty sure our next guest is Melanie Kinnaman, guys.
That's not till
May 9th.
Yeah.
May 9th. I think it's in the ticker below us.
Yeah.
So speaking of Zigzag, I don't know if you caught the Death Curse Society on Monday, did you?
But I heard about it.
They posted on they post on iTunes and Spotify now, so you can hear it while you're working. If you can do that at work, I don't know if you can do it while you're working, but great stuff, man. Oh yeah, I told them I left a comment on their thing earlier today, and I said, why didn't I listen to Ziggy when he told me the stove was hot? Why did I need to stick my hand on it to know? Like him and several other people said, take his word for it. The movie is that bad. You don't need to find out for yourself. But I did it. I put myself through it. And boy, was it bad.
Yeah, you actually took a screenshot of the message you sent him and showed me.
One when I first bought the movie? Or
the one where you told him it was so bad.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes pain is the only way to learn. Yep. I had to, you told me the stove was hot, but I had to put my hand on it anyway. I had to burn my hand. I couldn't believe it.
I'm a big believer in letting other people learn lessons for me, which is why I never, I was a big drinker, but I never drove drunk because I saw other people get DUIs and all the shit they had to go through. So I never did it. They learned that lesson for me. And that's why I'm never going to watch this remake of The Fog, because you guys watched it for me and told me how bad it was.
Oh, and you know me. I mean, I find redeeming qualities in damn near everything.
You usually do. Yeah.
I'm one of the most positive people when it comes to a movie. I rated it a 1 on this thing. A 1. F++. You can't say that if you watch this movie, it's going to be worse than Jason Goes to Hell for you. I guarantee it. I 100% guarantee it. Zig, is it worse than Jason Goes to Hell? Jason Goes to Hell made sense. It had things that there was positives. You came up with 5 of them. You couldn't with this. I ain't gonna let you do it either. Like, I ain't gonna let you take the time to find out.
Well, I did make 5 positives, but if you remember what number 1 was, right?
What, that it was over?
The closing credits.
Oh, okay. All right, so you came up with 4. You wouldn't come up with 4. There was nothing. I don't got the drop like DCS. But oh god, it was so bad, man. I just like how could it be that bad? It was amazing.
Dude. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it.
And then the fact that did I tell you the zombie story?
I don't think so.
I'll tell it again because I probably didn't tell it on here. So those of you that follow the page seen that I bought an awesome painting from Angelo Mariano. He just finished it. I have to finish paying for it, and then he'll send it to me. And I was showing it to Ziggy because he has a bunch of these, and I happened to watch Zombie for the first time after I wanted to buy this painting. I wanted to buy this painting. It had nothing to do with the movie. I just thought it looked amazing. Didn't know what it was from, and I'm watching Zombie because I never seen it. And I see the zombie in the painting. I go, oh, shit, that's the painting Angelo's making for me. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So I text Ziggy about that. I said, yeah, about the painting. And yeah, it's the first time I ever seen Zombie. And he texts me back. And he goes, it's the first time you ever seen Zombie 2, ZOMBI, and the number 2. And I go, no, dude, I watched the original. I never seen the sequel. And he goes, no, dude, it's not a sequel. That's just what it's called in other places. And I'm like, oh, no shit. And I figured that out while he was talking to me because I'm like, let me check this out. It's an alternate title. Mm-hmm. So while I'm out doing Lyft, I always go to the Exchange to look for cool horror movies to buy. And I knew they were doing The Fog. So they had The Fog for $5. And both of them, I grabbed one of each because I have seen the original, but I don't have it. And they had Zombie 2 for $5. And I would have got that instead of The Fog, but I thought it was like one of them bootleg remakes with Bruce Lee with the LI. Is that really Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
So I thought it was some bullshit. So I didn't buy it. And then I told him, I was like, oh, dude, I seen that at the store today, and I was about to buy it, but I didn't know that was it. And I would have bought it, and I regret not buying it. And then I was like, and you're not going to believe what I bought instead. I sent him a picture. So it ended up being worth the $5 for the awesome-ass story that it was.
Yeah, that is pretty good. You did tell me that, but not on the show. You told me that we were watching WrestleMania the other night.
Oh, okay, right on. Cool. Yeah, I can't remember. All days one together.
Speaking of which, you guys had the show last night, but I just want to drop in and say the show altogether was very good this year.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about our podcast that they did?
I'm talking about WrestleMania in general.
Oh, WrestleMania was amazing.
Very good.
I didn't know if you listened to the podcast because
I did.
I had the kids do it, and I just popped in with some stuff, and they do it on their phones, so, like you do, so that they can't see like all the comments and stuff. So whenever I wanted to tell them something, I can't text it to them because then they would have to leave the app to read the text. So I had to put it up like, you know, so we're gonna get that straightened out. But I'm gonna let them kind of take the reins with that because Donald kind of seems like he gets annoyed with me. You know, so that way, let them do it, and I'll just kind of help them.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to watch it live, but I watched it about 20 minutes after it was done. I watched it.
Right. Cool. Yeah,
I thought right after.
I thought it went a lot better, and I think just like us when we started this, we weren't comfortable just talking like this. Yeah. And he's going to get a lot more comfortable. They kind of remind me of you and me, where Donald's more like you, and Jesse's more like me, a little bit more loud. And Donald's more analytical. And,
they remind me of us too. Just they're nowhere near as good looking. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on. Rob Dowell says, "No wrestling talk here. It's just horror." Oh man.
Or we could talk about the Kiss Demon and talk about wrestling, horror, and music all in one.
Yeah. Well, we did a pretty cool wrestling horror podcast.
Yeah, that was
back in the day. And speaking of wrestling and horror, I was watching Creepshow today, and they were watching Bob Backlund wrestling Roman Reigns' dad in Creepshow.
Right.
Did you know that? Yeah. Sika. Well, I don't know. I got nothing, man. Again, you got any ideas for next week or no? We have to figure it out.
I got a few. We could always sneak in
a Friday review.
Yeah, because man,
we can't do 10 though.
Because by Friday the 13th, man, we got to have this ranking ready to go.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think it'd be a good time to do our ranking. Would be that week.
That'd be in September. That'd be right before we meet. We meet Melody Kinnaman in person with Tom Morga is going to be there as well.
So I guess we could schedule that like Thursday the 12th. Will be our ranking for Friday.
Rob's getting his new costume from J3 tomorrow. Got to post some pics of that, man. I'm kind of interested in that. Did you see any of the video and pictures of what he's doing for Eminizer?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so sick. Jared Haggerty, Horror Shed Podcast and Halloween Haunts 365 in the house. What's up, brother? We're getting ready to wrap this up, though. So we can't do 10 next week. Yeah, we're gonna after Zigzag. After we review all the Friday the 13th, we're gonna do a ranking of all of them. And if you want to come on for that, man, you can.
That's
definitely fine. We can definitely have you on. But that's we still got how many more do we got to go?
We have 5 to go.
5 to go. Yeah. So next week, again, we can't do 10 because Charles Sherrod's doing that tonight, and we share a lot of the same audience.
We have 2, 4, 8, 10, and 12 to go.
2, 4, 8, 10, and 12. We can't do 10. We could do 2, 4, 8, or 12. Which one do you want?
Let's do the remake.
We'll do the remake. Okay, so next week we're going to do the remake. Next week, as soon as nothing comes up, because I am out to a couple people about coming on the show that haven't responded, might respond, and if that's the only day we can get them in, then we're going to have that if that happens. But if that doesn't happen, we're going to prepare by doing everybody. Jared and Zigzag both said do 4, but we don't want to do 4 because we just did the last one we did was what we really liked.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to do back-to-back ones we really, really liked.
Right.
Right? Because it wasn't our last one. Which one was the last one we did?
We did 6 last.
And we have done 8 or we haven't done 8?
We have not done 8.
Okay. So you want to do 12 or you want to do 8?
Let's do 12. Let's do 12. The remake.
Okay. So we'll do the remake next week. Again, assuming that nothing comes up. And that's, for us, Friday the 13th shows are pretty easy to do because we've seen them 8 million times.
Yeah, because the next one on our docket, was going to be X, but since Charles is doing it now, we'll save that one. But we'll do the closest to it would be, in order, chronological order would be 12. Let's just do 12.
Yeah, 8 is my least favorite too, Zig, but I still watch it from time to time. I just like it the least. It's not a very good movie at all, and
It's going to be a fun review, though.
Ryan disagrees, but Jason Goes to Hell is a million times better. It's a much better made movie. There's better effects. There's better everything. I mean, so even if you eliminate, let's pretend we're watching Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason isn't in it. I mean, go ahead. You're gonna make the joke that Jason's on it anyway. It has nothing to do with Jason Voorhees. We're gonna call him Jim Jeffries. Okay?
Jim Jeffries.
First name that popped in my head. Don't even know who that is.
Wow.
It's somebody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who is that?
The politician.
Okay, I don't know. It's just I don't know why it was first name that popped in my head. So it has nothing to do with Jason, assume, and it's some other guy's name. Is the movie still worse than Part 8?
I can't compare it though, then, because it's not a Friday the 13th movie. That's why it's so bad, is because it's.
No, I get that, but I'm just talking about just on the strength of like what goes in making a movie. Mm-hmm. And again, I understand that you hate that it fucked with the Friday the 13th mythos, and it kind of, to a lot of people, and to yourself included, disrespected the history of the characters. But if it wasn't a Friday the 13th film, it had nothing to do with Friday the 13th. Same exact movie, replace him with somebody else. Is it worse than Friday the 13th Part 8 just as a movie?
I'm not
saying Friday the 13th film.
I'm not saying that it's worse, but it also wouldn't make any sense either, because especially the very beginning, what's all the trouble of going after this guy who we don't know? So right away it doesn't make sense, but I'm not saying it's definitely more, the production is better on it than Part 8 for sure.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, you know, whether you liked it or didn't like it.
Sure. Yeah, the production is, I'll give you that. But yeah, as a standalone film, though, as it was, just change the name, it doesn't make sense, though.
Yeah, so you have to, my cousin Jennifer's watching. And we're about to wrap this up, though. You got to come here at 7 on Thursdays, and you'll be able to see the whole show.
Yeah, not at 8:07.
Yeah, because actually, we actually look like we were going to get out of here soon, and or early. And now we're running late. So if you guys want, go check out Charles Sherrod, The Dive. Go check out Cine Nerds. They're live right now. And Jason X on Charles Sherrod. I'm going to go deliver some people. So did you, where's my mouse so I can hit the X when you're done?
Hit the
X. Have
anything
else you want to add?
Hit the Jason X.
Yeah.
I got this shirt from you.
Because it's an error.
Yeah, I like it though. It makes it interesting.
I know.
But yeah,
I kept that one. The only reason I gave you that one's because I had worn it once, and
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again to Marty Schiff for coming on tonight.
Absolutely,
definitely appreciate that. Hearing some insights on some things that I was curious about was pretty cool. Just keep him away from scissors.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we'll see you all next week.
He took the cut it out thing too seriously.
Oh.
I know. I'm late. I'm always late. Go ahead.
I wonder if that's where Dave Coulier got that bit.
He was doing it on that show.
Oh,
yeah. The cut it out thing. Yeah. But
anyway, cut something out.
All right.
But yeah, we'll see you all next week. 7:00. There goes the neighborhood.